Speaker's done a fine job. It's a tough job, but I think he's done it well. When you only got a few seat majority, it's tough to get things passed. I mean, again, this shutdown can only be blamed 14 times in 36 days. Democrats had an opportunity to keep the government open and to make sure things got done. And it wasn't just Senator Fetterman and two other senators who agreed with Republicans. Every government employee union, federal employee union, has said the same thing. What are you doing, Democrats? Open up the stink. You don't think air traffic controllers want the Democrats to open up the government and vote for the same level of spending they did before? Of course they do. They're all saying that. But yet Democrats persist in just saying, no, we're not going to do it because Obamacare, everything they told us about it turned out to be false. That's what they want to protect. Remember when they said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Premiums will go down. President Obama told us premiums will go down $1,500 on average for family. None of that worked out, so they had to subsidize it. Then they had to extend it. Now they want to extend it again. That's where we're at, and they won't fund the government for that.
Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, joined Stephen A. for a candid discussion on the latest election results, the ongoing government shutdown, and the state of healthcare in America. From Democrats winning key races in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia to the challenges facing the GOP and President Trump's administration, Congressman Jordan breaks it all down, what it means for everyday Americans, who's really responsible, and what the future holds. Stay tuned as we dive deep into politics, policy, and the fight over the future of our country on Street News Network. Let's get into it.
Please welcome the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, the one and only Republican, Mr. Jim Jordan, was with me right now. How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm fine and good to be with you. And it was great to visit with you a couple of weeks ago on Mr. Cuomo's show at the town hall.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you as well. And thank you for coming on to the show. Let's get right to it. Last night, Democrats won 3 key races in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia, as you well know. In your opinion, is this a referendum on the president's first 9 months in office?
No, I think it's 3 blue states and 1 really blue city. I mean, a major city, our biggest city. I think that's what it is. And for me, frankly, the takeaway is that, we got a socialist. You might put the name Democrat in front of it, Democrat socialist, but he's still a socialist who's elected now to, again, our largest city, the great city of New York. So I think that's the key takeaway. And no one really expected us to win, Republicans to win in New Jersey or in Virginia or in California or frankly, even New York. But the fact that they elected a socialist there is, I think, probably. I was telling someone the other day, I had the opportunity 30 some years ago to compete in the sport of wrestling in the Soviet, what was the Soviet Union. And I tell people, you go there, you thank the good Lord you live here. I remember we were in Moscow in February. It was like 400 below zero. And you walk into stores there that are run by the government, which is what Mr. Mamdani wants to do in New York. And there was nothing on the shelves. I mean, it was the most gray, dismal place. That's where they're headed in New York if the policies he's advocating actually happen. So I think that's the real takeaway from yesterday's election is what happened in our great city of New York.
For me, I'm just going to wait and see what his policies bring for the people of New York. I mean, obviously, you could tell by one of my previous videos, I don't really agree with socialism nor communism, or just based off the historical evidence of what that does to a society. But we are here in America. We are allowed to have free ideas. There shouldn't be such thing as a thought crime. And I if they feel like Mandami, if he feels like he can bring socialism to America and actually make it work and not have the body trail that leads with it and people actually benefit from it, then we'll see what happens. It's kind of just like Donald Trump. You can be mad he's president, or you can just wait, see his policies, see what's going on, and criticize it at that point. I don't need to go into all the propaganda or he's a Muslim, he's this, he's that. Sometimes you just have to wait and see. The American people of New York City, that's what they wanted. They wanted him as mayor, so let's wait and see what his policies bring out. That's really all I can do or say about it.
I'm wondering, how can the GOP, the Republican side, completely absolve themselves from this by just saying that it's the blue states, it's a New York, it's a New Jersey, it's a Virginia, when we're in the midst of the longest shutdown in government history right now. And obviously President Trump, he's the president of the United States. And even though I understand what role the Democrats are playing, at least to some degree, the reality is that this is the art of the deal. This is the president that we're talking about here that usually finds a way to get things done, but the shutdown is still going on. Isn't there a level of culpability for this election outcome that you guys should feel because of the shutdown?
I mean, I think there's a level of frustration that all Americans feel to some degree, and certainly Americans who are working and not getting paid, like some of our air traffic controllers and other things. But I think the culpability is with the folks who wouldn't vote to keep it open. I voted to keep it open. Republicans did that in the House 14 times. Democrats had an opportunity to do the same thing in the Senate. Republicans voted for it, but Democrats didn't. And even one of their senators who you talked to, who you interviewed a couple of weeks ago, Senator Fetterman, says Democrats are responsible for this. And the real question, and everyone knows that's the case, Stephen, because 6 months ago, Chuck Schumer voted for the exact same thing he won't vote for now. There's a reason they call it a continuing resolution, because you continue to fund the government at the levels you've already agreed to. But now Chuck Schumer says, no, we're not going to do it. That's, to me, Chuck Schumer's having a debate with Chuck Schumer. And right now, the same dynamic, I think, that put Mr. Mamdani in as the next mayor of New York, this left that's taken over the Democrat Party, this radical left, that's the same dynamic that's keeping Chuck Schumer from voting to keep the government open, even though he voted for it before, because it's the left that has now taken control of the Democrat Party. That's all the pressure. Chuck Schumer's concerned about a primary. Even Hakeem Jeffries is now concerned about a primary from the left in that same city that will now be run by a socialist.
For me, with that situation, I do find it a little weird that earlier in the year Chuck Schumer did come out and tell the American people that a shutdown is bad and we need to work through this. If this issue was as big as they're saying it is now, why didn't they just shut down the government then? And they would have had months to address it before the end of the year, where the deadline is for the subsidies. That's something that needs to be talked about, instead of just saying, oh, it's the Republicans' fault. Well, it's just, why did you guys agree to continue to fund the government if you knew that this was going to be a problem? Why would you push it off until the end of the year, to where now there's holidays around? People really do need some of this money, especially SNAP. We can complain about how many people are on SNAP all we want, but at the end of the day, the people are on it. And the people who are on it also really need that money. Okay? So why was it okay to push it off until now, when everyone knows around October through December, it's holidays, festivities, people need the money, people are going to travel. I just don't see the reason why they shut it down now instead of shutting it down way back in the beginning of the year, and why they can't agree to the same bill that they were agreeing back then. And I do kind of believe it when Chuck Schumer did come out and agree to it early in the year. He got lots of backlash from the radical left, or just the far left of the Democrat Party, who was very upset and just want to see them fight against Trump no matter what.
Those who are arguing that this was the plan for the Democrats all along, they never had any intentions of reaching a deal and signing on for the CR, because, you know something, it would not have benefited them for the election. Let's wait until the election is over, and then let's see what happens, because I think Senator Ted Cruz alluded to that the other day, saying he expects a deal to be done relatively quickly now that the election is over. Is that plausible in your mind? Is that what's going on?
Only Democrats would know. Only Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, frankly, in the Senate would know that. But, because we heard first it was going to go until after the No Kings rally. Then it was going to go to November 1st, when certain benefits and programs that are funded by the federal government come due, and the pay period ends for that month. Then we said, well, now it's going to be the election. I don't know, because there are some senators who are taking the way you phrased the question, the first question, that, oh, yesterday was great for Democrats, and so we need to keep the shutdown going and hold out for this crazy scheme that they want to continue to do with Obamacare. I don't know. What I do know is it's been now over a month, and the pay of our military, our people who put on the uniform, protect our country, is in jeopardy, and a host of other things. And it just doesn't make any sense when, again, we didn't put anything new in the continuing resolution. We just continued the funding at the current level, and they said no.
We're in the longest government shutdown, as we just finished talking. I'm here talking to Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared on ABC's The View yesterday and blamed Speaker Mike Johnson, calling it an embarrassment that he won't bring the House back into session. Is he the right person to lead right now, in your estimation, based on what she had to say?
Yeah, the speaker's done a fine job. It's a tough job, but I think he's done it well. When you only got a few seat majority, it's tough to get things passed. I mean, again, this shutdown can only be blamed 14 times in 36 days. Democrats had an opportunity to keep the government open and to make sure things got done. And it wasn't just Senator Fetterman and two other senators who agreed with Republicans. Every government employee union, federal employee union, has said the same thing. What are you doing, Democrats? Open up the stink. You don't think air traffic controllers want the Democrats to open up the government and vote for the same level of spending they did before? Of course they do. They're all saying that. But yet Democrats persist in just saying, no, we're not going to do it because Obamacare, everything they told us about it turned out to be false. That's what they want to protect. Remember when they said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Premiums will go down. President Obama told us premiums will go down $1,500 on average for family. None of that worked out, so they had to subsidize it. Then they had to extend it. Now they want to extend it again. That's where we're at, and they won't fund the government for that. That just doesn't make sense to me. Open up the government, and we'll have a debate on healthcare. That's fine. That's what we need to do, and debate public policy and try to work something out. That's all fine and good. But right now, keeping the government closed makes no sense.
Representative Jordan, crystallize it for my audience out there that may not know. When we talk about prices increasing, when we talk about what the cost was supposed to be compared to what it is, could you paint that picture for us? I remember reading something that, what they said, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was going to cost about $950 billion a year. Now I'm reading numbers at $1.3 trillion. I'm hearing you guys say it's going to cost even more than that down the pike. What are we talking about here when you have the Democratic Party literally saying we have to address this ACA subsidies, and you guys are saying, no, we're not trying to do that. That's a non-negotiable issue. It is what it is. We're not budging from our positioners.
Before he gets into talking about that, the thing that upsets me about it is they had the last 4 years to make sure that these subsidies or whatever they wanted to do with this healthcare bill plan was put into law and even made permanent. So the fact that you made the subsidies expire at the end of this year and you're using that to shut the government down, to have just a bit of leverage over the president because they don't like him at all. And then people have to suffer. People have to go through missed paychecks. People don't get their benefits. That's not the way it should be done. If anything, in my opinion, I don't like to complain without a solution. So extend them out a couple of years, not just 1 year. Extend them out well past the midterms so we don't get any partisan BS trying to win elections. Extend them out far in the distance and then really start to work on changing the whole entire system, because obviously it's not working. If you have to subsidize more money for the government to insurance companies to have lower prices, and then if we don't give that subsidy, then the insurance prices are going to go up, but then now you're trying to say that Republicans want people to have their prices go up. It just is insane to me. I from my understanding, the program was supposed to pay for itself over time. The fact that we're in this battle right now means that the program might not have been as good as it was originally intended to be. I get the intentions of it, but good intentions doesn't mean good idea at the end of the day. If it doesn't work out and the American people are still struggling with this issue, then it needs to be relooked at and remade. And at this point, it's also going to have to be up to the Republicans because they need to come out and lay out a plan. You can't just say you're not going to agree to this and don't lay out a plan. You need to lay out a plan, a change in strategy so that we can all get past this point. But the stupid partisan nonsense is not helping anyone. It's really just kind of just stepping on the heads of the people. Our lives are that determined by just a few people in Congress because they can't get 60 votes in the Senate. That's insane.
No, we
Please
just think
explain in numbers.
Yeah, great question. We just think it's the wrong answer. The way you bring down healthcare costs is not have more government. I mean, history shows you more government gets involved, drives up the cost. Look at higher education, for goodness. Look what it costs people to go there because there's so much government involved in the whole student loan process and everything else. So yeah, when you get more government involved, it tends to typically make things less efficient and drive up costs. And that's what's happened with healthcare. What we need is more association health plans, more health savings accounts, more ability to have just the high deductible catastrophic plan. Most families just want to know if their son or daughter gets a really bad thing, that there's going to be insurance there to take care of them. That's what they want. And that kind of plan has much lower premiums. So those are the kind of things we need to work on, not this more and more government driving up the cost. That is the problem. And by the way, this subsidy that they want to continue this expansion and this subsidy that they want to do again, it goes primarily to insurance companies. It's always the insurance companies and the hospitals that seem to get all the money, and it's the families who get shortchanged. We want to empower families, and the way to do that is not more government taking money from one taxpayer and giving it to the insurance company that's supposed to, in the end, benefit some other taxpaying family. That never seems to work out very well, as evidenced by the fact they had to extend this. They set the deadline, Democrats did, that was supposedly done during COVID, to help during COVID when things were awful tough and families were, people couldn't go back to work. That's what they did. And now the deadline's coming due, and they said, we're going to shut down the government if you don't extend and follow the deadline that the Democrats said.
But you talked about having a discussion, negotiating, working this out, etc. Words like that. One could easily argue that, you know what, you guys are in power now, but you guys have been around for quite a while. Do you have a definitive plan? And if you do not, why don't you have a definitive plan? After all the years, the representatives such as yourself and others have been on Capitol Hill, knowing that this has been a problem that has been kicked down the can has been kicked down the road on so many years. Does the GOP have a plan, a definitive plan to make healthcare work in America? If so, what is it?
Yeah, it's not more government. It's less government, more marketplace, more decision power made at health savings accounts where you can work with your employer. You can put money away that can be used for health savings accounts. There's a tax benefit there. All those things make sense. We want to expand that, which actually empowers people, doesn't make them dependent on insurance companies and on the government. And again, I go back. Obamacare was supposed to, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare was supposed to be the end all be all and fix healthcare. Well, it didn't work, as evidenced by the fact that the things they told us turned out not to be accurate, and the fact that they have to keep trying to subsidize it even more. That's making matters worse, I think, in my opinion. So let's focus on those things that actually empower families, empower people, not more government subsidies.
How much longer do you anticipate this shutdown will continue?
I have no idea. That's again.
You have no idea.
That's a question. Well, look, there's been talk all week that something may happen this week, and I think a lot of us were thinking, okay, maybe like you said, after the election, Stephen, they'll come to their senses and do something. But then you got senators today. I think like Senator Murphy and Senator Sanders said, we won in 3 blue states and 1 really blue city. Let's take the shutdown further. Let's demand more. Let's go. I don't know. I truly don't know. It's been one of the strangest things I've seen in my time in Congress.
What do you guys think, huh? Who do you think's really responsible for this government shutdown? In my opinion, I think both sides are responsible, but I do put a little bit more of the blame on the Democrats due to they were in power for the last 4 years, and this is an issue that could have been addressed when they were in power. It could have been addressed for many, many years, honestly. So that's why I still blame both sides. So, and then also the question is, how will Congress move forward? How do you guys think they should move forward? I think they just need to extend it out a fair amount of time to where it's not interfering on the elections and people aren't going to make partisan decisions, and then really revitalize the system. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you found it a little bit insightful. It really helps out the channel and the algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe for more political breakdowns and insider updates on Street News Network. Once again, I always appreciate you guys for being here, and I'll see you.